And we are live. What's good, Josh? Man, DL Saint. Welcome. I really want to know podcast. How y'all feeling out there? What's going on? What's good? I hope all is well. Just checking the audio on the live stream out there. Hope you guys are well. I know we are just about done with the weekend. You guys haven't seen me go live. I haven't really posted anything. Man, I've been busy really working on that Gumroad thing, guys. So I have the ebooks done for the first round of Red Pill dating relationship books. That's done. I think 16 of those books done already. Then I have 5 books on how to become a stand-up comic, 5 books on fashion, the importance of fashion, and I just finished up a 5-book series on networking. So I'm definitely going to be dropping that link in the chat at some point, guys, so you can check it out. There's a lot to talk about. Tomorrow, we're definitely going to be going live. We're going to be talking some real Red Pill stuff, man. You know, we were talking about coffee dates last time you guys saw me live. And Austin Dunham put something out about coffee dates, bro. So we're going to talk about what's really going on with that. When a woman likes you, we're going to talk about who the rules are for and who women are willing to break the rules for, right? So, you talked about the guys that women want versus the guys that they don't necessarily want. So we're going to talk about that tomorrow. Today, we're going to talk about what's going on with our banking system. A few days ago, earlier this week, a bank failed. Didn't see it on any of the mainstream media platforms. I see YouTubers talking about it. So, yeah, a U.S. bank failed, and no one seems to know. Let's get into it. And we are live. What's good, y'all? Welcome to the I Really Want to Know podcast, y'all. Get some indeed. We definitely got to talk about what's going on. Shout out to my brother, man. Undercover, brother Pitney in the building. I did not see the comment in the community tab. I need to check that more. The best way to get a hold of me is Instagram. Shoot me a DM on Instagram. That's the best way to get a hold of me, or email me. And I'll put my email in here. You can email me. That's another good way to get a hold of me. But the best way really is to DM me on Instagram or hit me up, DL Saint on Telegram. You can hit me up there. So I'll check the tab as soon as we're done here, brother. I didn't see it, but shout out to you, man. Thanks for pulling up. Number 1 in the chat today. I said chat. Y'all can see my mind is all over the place as usual. So I appreciate you guys getting a hold of me. I promise you I'm gonna get better. Y'all know I'm an old dude. I'm an old head. I'm old school. So there's so many different ways to get a hold of people these days. And I need to get better about checking my community tab. I need to get better at using that community tab. YouTube has been after me to start a membership. I don't want to do it, but I think I might. I mean, you can't make it free. You have to charge for it. And I think the least amount of money you can charge is $1. It's like 99 cents or $1 or something like that. How's the audio, guys? I think it's okay. I'm listening to it on my phone. Let me know if the audio is messed up. I had a whole bunch of tabs open. I'm closing up the tabs so hopefully it won't lag as much. But cool. Just email me, fam. Just email me. And I get it. There's a lot of people don't do Instagram. A lot of people don't do Instagram. So yeah, just DM me. Just email me. Email me. And while I'm thinking about it, let me pull up. I'm going to pull up the Gumroad account. I've been working on it, guys. So appreciate it if you guys have come over and checked out the Gumroad account. I really appreciate it if you have. If you haven't, do me a favor, check it out. Been working on that really hard. And I'm gonna have to pull up. Okay, so I'm gonna put it here. I'm not gonna be able to. So that's the Gumroad 5x5. Appreciate that. That's loud and clear. Appreciate that. We got Mandrell in the building. What's good, fam? We got Mandrell in the building. So that's the link to the Gumroad. Let me pull up my YouTube because I'm sitting here. I've really just spent the whole few days just really working on that Gumroad thing, trying to get the ebooks out. If there's anything that's like when you see these ebooks, if there's anything that you want me to kind of cover, just let me know. I'm gonna do it. The next series I'm working on is gonna be a 5-book series on just how to survive financial downturn, how to survive the correction, how to survive the recession if we're gonna have one. I haven't come up with the title yet, but that's the next series. I'm gonna start that tonight. Hopefully, I have that done within a day or so. It's happening, guys. We've been talking about this. We talk about big pill stuff. We talk about political stuff, about dating. We talk about all that good stuff. It's here, guys. Oh man, I can't. Okay, I see what's going on. So I'm not able right now the live, so I can actually go into the live and put that Gumroad there, but it's there. The Gumroad is up. Let me, get into this. I'm gonna get into this story we're gonna cover today, and then as we get into it, I can start dropping some more windows, and I can pull up some different windows. So I'm just trying to keep the computer from lagging. That's what I'm trying to do. But in the chat though, there should be in the chat the Gumroad is there. Let's see, the link to the Gumroad is there. Yes, it's there. So just hit that link, man. Check it out. We've made some changes over there. We're kind of cleaning it up. And I really appreciate you guys just, having a look. If you do my day ones, if you see something you want, you just really don't have the bread right now, tell me. Reach out to me, DM me, email me, whatever. Let me know you want one of those ebooks, my day ones. I will send it to you. No charge. You guys have been supporting me from day one. So if you want any or all of those books, I'll send them to you. Just let me know. Just hit me up. Like, yo, send me this one, send me that one, send them all to me. They're all PDF files, but a real PDF. Like it's a word, it's not, you know what I'm trying to say here. I'll send them to you. Just give me your email. I'll send them to you because I really appreciate you guys being there for me. And like my day ones, anything I do, if you want to partake in it or you want, whatever I'm offering, I'll just send it to you. And if you're wondering who's the day ones are the people with a wrench behind their name. If you got a wrench behind your name, you're day one. Hit me up. So, I do appreciate the support, guys. We're still working on the studio. Yo, how y'all like the map? Got the world up there. Y'all like the map? Had to order that. Man, Amazon makes it so easy to spend money, bro. Yeah, my internet was acting up. I pulled up a screen. And right away it just started messing up the internet. So I'm just gonna keep the tabs to a low. Like I'm not gonna bring up anything. We got brother Carlos in the building. What's happening, fam? So today, man, we're not gonna spend, this is not gonna be a 3-hour stream. I'm not intending it to be. This is gonna be pretty quick. We want to talk about what's going on out here, man. Yeah, day one, stand up for sure. We want to talk about what's going on out here. And brother Carlos, you should be a day one. And I will fix that. Brother Carlos, I will fix that as soon as I can. I just don't want to pull up another window. It'll make the lagging begin. So but don't worry. There will be a wrench behind your name ASAP. And if you want anything on Gumroad that you see on Gumroad, like I said, like my day ones, man, I just want you guys to enjoy anything that I'm doing and just take advantage of anything I'm doing. It's not about the money with you guys because you always just support me. And we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for y'all, man, straight up. It just, y'all know YouTube is not happy with a lot of the content that we put out, and they're doing everything they can to kind of slow down certain lanes, and we're in that lane. So any of the day ones y'all want some. And then for the people who do actually like get a book, if you get one of the ebooks or if you get one of the products, pretty soon there's going to be videos over there too, like companion videos on demand. we're going hard in 2026, guys. We're going hard. So if you do get one, if you get some of the products, please let me know. Tell me, like, just tell me the truth. Like, yo, this is cool. I see what you're trying to do, but you fell short here. I think you should add this, or I think you should take this away, or whatever. Please critique me. Let me know so we can put out the best product possible. And I trust y'all. You know what I mean? I trust y'all. So whatever you guys say, I'm listening. It's one thing to get critique from someone you don't know, who's never been around. You know, that person might be a troll. That might be a person who just wants to hate people. But to get it from one of your people is like, yo, look, change this. You know, I don't like that, or I do like this, do more of this. That really helps. So just let me know. Please let me know. And if you do get one of the books, if you buy one of the books, I'll have your email. You know, you'll hear from me. I'll be emailing you anyway. So that's enough of that. No more sales talk. Let's get into what we came to talk about. Let's get into this, guys. Chicago's Metropolitan Capital Bank becomes first U.S. bank failure of 2026. Banks are failing. Like, we knew this was going to happen. This is going to be a tough year. 2026 is going to be a rough one, guys. 2027 is going to be tough too. America has been kicking the can down the road for so long, and it's not like, oh, it's all Trump's fault. It's Biden's fault. You know what I mean? Or it was Trump the first time, or, you know what I mean, it was Obama. It was Bush. It was Clinton. It was whatever. It's Congress and our financial people, you know, the people who are in charge have been kicking the can down the road for generations now. And you just can't kick this can down the road anymore. Things are about to happen. The system is under tremendous stress. And we're about to see the outcome from that. Right. And I looked it up too. I was wondering, like, well, how many bank closures do we have in America a year? Because I'm thinking, like, is this something like the smaller banks fall off all the time? We just don't know about it because, you know, it is what it is. Bank closures are rare in America. Normally, something has to happen in order for the bank to close, and, you know, for the government to step in, FDIC step in and try to, you know, fix it or whatever. So it's not like, oh, every year we lose 3 banks or something like that. No. In fact, we went through a couple of years, we didn't lose a bank at all. And then we had the meltdown in 2008. We had a bunch of banks close. And then we had that thing with Silicon Valley. Remember that a few years ago? We lost a few banks. But normally now, you know, I think the average going all the way back, maybe 50 years, I think the average was like 3.2 banks a year or something like that. But, you know, you're going back like, 50s, 60s, 70 years or something like that. But I think we're about to start seeing some things, guys. We're about to start seeing it. So here we go. This is the first bank of the year. I know what I wanted to do now. Now I know what I wanted to do. I was sitting here thinking, like, what am I doing wrong? There it is. Wanted to change the background. So here we go. And before we get started, guys, you know, I'm no expert. I'm just a dude who sits in front of his computer and talks to his friends and talks to the world. I'm just noticing this, man. And no one, we're going to read this Yahoo Finance article, but I didn't see anyone pick this up. I mean, I guess I was not reading or looking at the news when this happened, but I normally read, you know, Washington Post, the LA Times. You know, I'm normally looking at Associated Press. I didn't see anything come through my timeline, my feed. So it was yesterday or the day before, no, 2 days ago when I first heard this. I'm like, yo, what's going on? So we got a bank. You know, Chicago's Metropolitan Capital Bank becomes the first U.S. bank failure 2026. How many banks are going to fail? Right? Like, for the second year in a row, Chicago Bank became the first in the nation to fail. So we had a failure last year. Well, we had more than one last year, but Chicago Bank seems to be falling. Metropolitan Capital Bank and Trust, a so-called universal bank that focused on small to medium-sized businesses, was closed Friday by the Illinois Department of Financial and Professional Regulation, citing unsafe and unsound conditions and impaired capital position. All right, so they made some bad bets. The Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation was appointed as receiver and entered into a purchase agreement with the Detroit-based First Independence Bank, which reopened the failed bank under a new banner Monday, regulators say. So they jumped right on it. Bank went down, on Friday, and on Monday it was open with a new owner. And this didn't make the news. I mean, well, with everything else that's going on. Like, it's so much going on. I know I talked to folks about this. I was like, bro, there's so much going on. How can you keep up? Right? Venezuela, Cuba, Mexico, Colombia, Ukraine, Iran, Israel, Middle East, China, Taiwan, Greenland. Like, how can you keep up? And that's just abroad. Like, what's going on here? ICE, federal agents. My daughter, high school student, gets in the car, and every day she gets in the car. I'm like, how was your day? What's going on in your world? And she's like, Papa, the kids at school, the students staged a protest. I'm like, what they're protesting about? What are they protesting about? ICE. I'm like, really? And then we get home, my daughter runs up to me. She has her phone out. She's like, look, ICE was at Target. Like, Target. At a Target we go to all the time. Papa, look, ICE was at Target. So the kids walked out of the school, and the Target is close to the school, walked down to Target where ICE was mobilizing to do something. And mind you guys, I live in a good neighborhood. Like, we're in a good neighborhood over here. And I can't imagine where ICE was going to hit. Where we live, I don't know where they were going to hit. Like, what were they staging? Where? But I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's some construction going on somewhere nearby. I don't know. But anyway, apparently the kids went and interfered. Like, I don't know if they stopped ICE, or I don't know what's going on with that. The issues with ICE in Florida are not the same as the issue with ICE in California or Minnesota or New York or New Jersey. So anyway, the kids left school. They do their own protest. And it's crazy. And I agree with you. Shadow Man, XEX V3, I agree with you 100%. There are going to be more closures. I think we're going to have some crazy stuff going on in here. We got Joe Cool in the building. I mean, man, deregulation. What was that? Dodd-Frank? I don't think, I'm no expert on this, but like, I think they did a lot of deregulation. The subprime thing, they wanted to rein that in, but they allow banks to do other crazy things, man. So, man, I don't know, Brother Carlos, to be honest with you, man. You know what I mean? It's like, I guess interest payments and T-bills are not enough to pay their executive. Bro, for real. The whole thing is just so dirty, man, what's going on. And the banks have gotten to the point where they're like, hey, we screwed this up bad enough, the government's going to bail us out. But here's the secret. Here's the dirty little secret no one talks about. The FDIC don't have the money to cover these banks. If 5 banks go under, if they're big enough, 1 or 2 go under, the FDIC won't be able to bail everyone out. And it's really only going to be the people with $250,000 deposits and less. So once that happens, and then you got someone out there who's going to, lose everything over $250,000, you got accounts out there with millions of dollars in the accounts because these are businesses doing business, bro, that's going to be a huge issue. So we shall see. Brother Pitty's like, yeah, fun fact, 82% of Metropolitan Capital Bank's portfolio consisted of commercial real estate and private equity loans. Bro, that's it right there, man. Don DeMarco to you. And I don't think this article touches on that, man. How many of these small and medium banks are holding bad paper? Probably a ton. A ton of them are. A ton. This is going to be ugly, guys. We're headed for another 2008 situation. And because these corporations are walking away, man. They're walking away. It is what it is. So this bank was undercapitalized. And the feds had to step in and shut them down. Well, the Chicago regulators shut them down. The FDIC Insurance Corporation was appointed as a receiver and entered into a purchase agreement with Detroit-based First Independence Bank, which reopened on Monday. We read that. We want to be clear that no depositor will lose any money as a result of this action, right? And that's the acting director of the IDFPR's Division of Banking. said in this news release. So they want people to know, like, no one's going to lose any money this time. Metropolitan Capital Bank and Trust had $261 million in assets and total deposits of $212 million. First Independence Bank agreed to assume substantially all deposits and purchased $250 million of failed banks' assets, according to the FDIC, which will retain the remaining assets for later disposition. So you can see how they have to bring these banks in and take off the toxic stuff, all the negative stuff, and cut them a deal. Like you take those assets, and then we'll take these liabilities, and then you can go ahead and take that bank and open it up as something else. How many more times will they be able to do that? The FDIC estimates the failure will cost its deposit insurance fund about $19.7 million, but the actual cost will change as the retained assets are sold, the agency says. So they're going to hold on to these bad assets until they're worth something, and then they're going to sell them down the road. Man, the FDIC doesn't have enough money to cover all these banks. The FDIC works fractional like everybody else, bro. So located at 9 East Ontario Street, in the River North neighborhood, Metropolitan Capital Bank and Trust opened in 2005. Founded as a universal bank, the mission was to provide a broad array of financial services, including commercial, private, and investment banking on a single platform. On its website, Metropolitan claimed to be the only boutique universal bank in North America focused on small to medium-sized businesses and their founders. When you hear small and medium, you ain't thinking like mom and pops. Like, it's not JJ's Rib Shack, man. Small and medium companies are worth hundreds of millions of dollars. First Independence Bank, a state-centered commercial bank or state-chartered commercial bank, was founded in 1970 with the mission to be the beacon for capital accumulation by diversifying financial services and underserved minority communities in the Detroit area. It is the only African-American owned bank headquarters in Michigan, according to the bank's website. Wow, it's a black bank. I didn't know that. It's a black bank. First Independence Bank is well positioned to continue essential banking services for Metropolitan Capital Bank and Trust customers. And that individual was reached by phone. A First Independence Bank spokesman declined to comment on Monday. Chicago also had the dubious honor of having the first of only 2 bank failures nationwide last year. So then it kind of goes on with that. I mean, bro, we're off. The bank basically failed in the first month of the year. Right? It failed in the first month of the year. I mean, and it goes into the other banks that failed last year. This story is linked in the description below if you guys want to check it out. So I don't know anything about these banks. I don't know anything about this world. You dig? So we need to listen to people who do know a little something about this. So ITM Trading Incorporated, I really like watching ITM. They talk about this stuff. Now, ITM, full disclosure, they're all about gold. That's their thing. They're about gold. They can care less about crypto like Bitcoin and Ethereum and all that. They can care less about everything else is going on. They're all about, hey, get into gold. And their gold position went through the roof last week, but now gold is starting to come back down. I often wonder, like, why is it that gold always comes back down? Like, what is pulling gold down? You would think that gold and silver, like precious metals, would be a safe haven when everything else is kind of going haywire, which is where we are right now. But for whatever reason, like, gold will shoot up and then it'll come back down. Why is that? Is there someone behind the curtain, kind of pulling stuff and doing stuff? Man, it's crazy. You know what I mean? You're right. They have to say that, man. Those things, they got to say that. They got to say, oh, no one lost their money. It's like, yeah, no one lost their money this time. So let's listen to ITM. I like watching this YouTube channel. Their link is in the description below as well, guys. Here we go. Let's check it out.
It's starting. The first bank failure of 2026 has officially happened. But the question on everyone's mind, is this an isolated event or a canary in the coal mine? What does this tell us about the banking system as a whole? And most importantly, what does this mean for your deposits and your financial future? In case you missed it, Chicago's Metropolitan Capital Bank and Trust was shut down this weekend. Regulators stepping in to pull the plug, citing unsafe and unsound conditions with an impaired honoring deposits up to $250,000. But next time, depositors might not be so lucky because the story doesn't end there. There's an old saying that if you see one cockroach, it's never just one. Meaning that while this might be a small bank failure, this could be the signal that many more are coming. But in order to know what's coming next for other banks, we have to understand what led to this bank's failure. Now, if you look a little bit closer, the Metropolitan Capital Bank had $261 million worth of assets and $212 million worth of deposits, which sounds pretty great. But let's pause for a second, because most people, when they hear the word asset, they picture something with value, something positive, like real estate, cash, gold, silver. But for banks, assets are very different. Typically, assets are someone else's liability. This is a very important distinction, and loans are the biggest piece of these assets. So let's say you take out a mortgage from a bank. Well, that's an asset for the bank, but a liability for you. The same goes for commercial real estate loans, business loans. Treasury bonds are often also considered part of their assets, which all is great on paper, but not always in practice. The problem is that right now in the US banking system, all of these so-called assets are really massive unrealized losses, meaning banks can't sell them for what they bought them for or what.
Now, guys, you've heard that. This is kicking the can down the road. This is banks trying to fudge the books enough just to get to tomorrow or next week or next month. And then they're hoping, fingers crossed, interest rates go down or something happens in, within banking, and these troubled assets become valuable and they can dump them off their books. But right now they're just holding on to losses. And just think of all those massive sky rises and all these, commercial real estate properties and all the money that was borrowed to buy single family homes, right? Because you got like Blackstone out here trying to dump their portfolio. You got all the Wall Street money trying to get ahead of Congress. They're like, hey, man, they're going to make us dump these properties. Let's dump them now while, they're still worth a little bit. In a market where people aren't even buying because prices are still high. So while they're dumping their product, they're dumping these properties, and that's forcing the values down around these properties. So you dump in this neighborhood, that neighborhood goes down, that neighborhood goes down. Interest rates are still not really dipping down like the banks want them. And then you have people walking away from, by people, I mean these corporate entities walking away from these loans. So this is what it is. The banks are stuck with all this bad paper, guys. They're stuck with this bad paper. And that's what she's talking about right here. Unrealized losses. This, again, sounds a whole lot like 2007, 2008.
What they are worth on paper, making their assets completely illiquid. In this particular case, it's come out that 82% of Metropolitan Capital Bank's portfolio was in commercial real estate and private equity funding.
I wonder, did I hear that somewhere? Maybe I heard someone mention that 82% number. But Brother Penny, did you hear anybody mention that? Fun fact, 82% of Metropolitan Capital Bank's portfolio consisted of commercial real estate and private equity loans. Hey, man, that's why I like rocking with y'all, bro. Y'all know what's up. Y'all know what's
Commercial
up.
real estate, which used to be seen as one of the safest places to invest. There will always be demand for commercial real estate, which we'll get to in a second. And while I'd like to tell you that this is an anomaly, the truth is that over 2/3, the majority of total commercial real estate loans in the United States, are held by regional banks, meaning the exposure and the risk that this bank just went through is happening all over the country.
2/3, guys. 2/3, man. 2 out of 3 banks are exposed. And people are going to look. The reason media doesn't want to talk about this, man, of course, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on, but they don't want to talk about it because they really don't want to scare America even further. Right? Because look what Brother Carlos is saying, and that makes sense to me that once he said that. Like it doesn't go down. It's occasionally inflated, these gold pushers, anytime there's a winter storm or political unrest. You're right. So you kind of got that, and you got people who can't even, they're busy doing other stuff, so they can't get back to whatever, buying or selling, whatever they're doing. So you're right. This is crazy though, guys. This is crazy. 2/3 of banks are overexposed. 2/3. And I don't think she distinguished from small bank or big bank. Like they're too big to fail banks. What's going to happen if we find out that one of the too big to fail banks is one of these over leveraged banks? What's going to happen? Bro, what's going to happen? MCB might be the first domino, you say? Let's keep our eye on it. You might be right.
Don't need to tell you that there is a serious problem right now brewing in commercial real estate. The news likes to act like it's gone away. They're not covering this.
Facts.
But the truth is delinquency rates on these commercial real estate loans are at an all-time high.
Wow.
If you see the empty office buildings, you see vacant strip malls,
Yes.
complexes with no tenants, and you wonder, how is it possible that the owners of this are able to stay above water on this? The truth is they're not. They're not able to refinance those loans
Right.
at today's higher rates when they used to have 0 or near 0% rates. The math doesn't work out. But
think about that, guys. We've been talking about that forever. You got these big corporations. You got these people who would borrowing all this money. Imagine you borrowed $100 million, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years ago, however long ago. And I think they normally do them like between 3 to 5 year terms. So let's say you borrowed $100 million and you got that at 3%. Sweet deal. Yeah, matter of fact, make it $200 million if it's at 3%. Fine. So you got $200 million at 3%. Interest rates go up. Interest rates are staying up. Interest rates have there's no one's going to bring the interest rates down. They talking about locking up the chairman of the Fed, right? They just the president doing everything, want interest rates to go down. They ain't going down. So you go from 3% to 6%. Your interest rate just double. You got this $200 million loan, and your buildings are empty, or mostly empty. What do you do? This is the problem. Right, that mark to market, yeah, man. Your brother Carlos, he knows what you're talking about, like mark to market and another round of quantitative easing. Why do you think Trump put a Glazer in the Fed? You're right, bro. Yeah, he got problems with the Epstein files too. Like Trump's pick, he's not going to make it through Congress. He's not going to get, he's not going to get affirmed. He's not going to get in there to pick somebody else. And I don't care who you put in the Fed, man, they're not going to, if you lower interest rates, you're going to have a serious problem with inflation. You're going to have runaway inflation, stagflation, whatever. It's going to be stupid crazy. This is it. There's no more road. We can't kick the can down the road anymore. This is it.
Here's why it hasn't all come crashing down. The banks are equally on the hook. They cannot afford to say, okay, you're done, we're taking the loss, because it reveals the fact that they have far less assets than they do on paper. So the banks are out here playing a game of extend and pretend, changing loan terms, pushing out maturities, offering grace periods, anything they can do to make sure that the asset appears to still have value on their balance sheet, when in reality, it's dead weight. But it gets worse. It's not just the banks that are using these sleight of hand financial tricks. Just this past week, we learned that private equity is selling a record amount of debt to themselves. It works like this. I'm a private equity firm and I have a paperclip that I'm going to sell to another private equity firm for $1 billion. Great. That private equity firm has a dry erase marker. They're going to sell it to me for $1 billion. Now, on paper, it looks like we each have an asset that is worth $1 billion. That's what it's valued at. But in reality, the underlying assets themselves, the paperclip and the dry erase marker, are basically worthless.
That's some scary shit right there, man. If what she's saying is true, when they pick up that big rock to look at all the creepy crawlies underneath and the feds start investigating, there's going to be cause to lock people up, because that shows that, all right, the economy should have collapsed way back when. But they're doing all this stuff mark to market, pulling stuff off their books. And then this, I'm going to sell you this pencil for $1 billion. And then you're going to sell me this light filter for $1 billion. I mean, that's some old Forrest Gump Bubba stuff right there. That's Bubba talking to Forrest Gump. Hey, Forrest, won't you lean up against me and I lean up against you? That way we don't have to sleep in the wet. We don't have to sleep in the mud. Let's just back each other up on this effery. Right? And let's just let we'll worry about the crash in the market tomorrow. But for now, give me $1 billion for that light filter, and I'll give you $1 billion for that pencil. Man, if she is correct, man, this is gonna hurt so bad. If this is gonna be a real correction, guys, if she is correct, and I know she is, I know she's correct. She knows what she's talking about. Unlike me, I'm just some dude sitting in his loft. I'm just sitting there talking to a computer. She knows what she's talking about. There's no fixing this, guys. There's no fixing it. This is the billionaire killer right here. This is going to cut the 1% in half, if not more. 75% of the 1% might lose the majority of their wealth if they're not careful here. And, forget about us down here. Like, the people down here at the bottom, man, forget about it. Forget about it. This is crazy.
But here's where it gets even more dangerous. So we've established that these banks, the majority of their so-called assets are commercial real estate loans that are underwater, private equity funding that's all made up value. But then guess what? As if things couldn't get worse, on top of that, they are required to hold no reserves. Zero, zip, nada. In March of 2020, our good dear friends at the Federal Reserve decided that we don't need reserve requirements, right? We need to make sure that, in fact, banks have the freedom to make sure that they can make maximum profits and be as liquid as possible, all of which has resulted in a complete kick the can down the road scenario where now they're operating with absolutely no safety net and completely on the brink. But this is the part where I know someone out there is going to go, okay, so what? I'm with you, but it's just one bank. It's one small bank. What's the big deal? It does not directly impact you or I. And you would be right. But it's not about this individual failure. It's about what this individual failure represents, what it exposes, that on the surface, everything can look calm and stable. But underneath, when the foundation itself is crumbling, you cannot keep that calm surface for very long. But make no mistake, when this ticking time bomb goes off, it will impact every single one of us.
She ain't lying. She is not lying.
Houston, we have a problem.
Houston, we got a real problem. We got a real problem. And normally people will run to real estate, put their money in land or whatever. But when real estate is the problem, we saw this back in 2008. Like, when real estate is the problem, what do you do? Like, what do you do? Man, and this might be good for the people at the bottom, because the people at the bottom are already suffering. So when this is all said and done, houses aren't going to cost $425,000 as the median anymore. The houses will correct down to where they should have been all this time. So you're looking at, like, where I live here in Tampa, in certain neighborhoods, like my neighborhood, the median house is probably around 555, 75 right now in this neighborhood. It shouldn't be that high. It just shouldn't be. There's nothing to sustain that. Like, people aren't making that kind of money. It's not that many people here. That house should be maybe 350. Right? And it's going to correct down. When that corrects down, everything else corrects down with it. But this is why people, make, LLCs into S corps and the C corps, and they do the corporate game. And if their paperwork is straight, they walk away. They don't have to worry about losing anything or losing much. Right. So, I mean, that's that. My God, man. My God. And Brother Carlos, like, man, that's a credit default swap. That's what happened. That's what happened that drove 2008, that housing crash. Then yeah, credit default swaps. Like, hopefully it's not one company out there buying up all these swaps. Hopefully it's spread out enough to where it won't destroy everything. Brother Penny's like approximately 50 to 60% of U.S. commercial real estate loans are projected to mature over the next 10 years. That's a problem. That's a problem, especially since that clock started ticking about 3-4 years ago. So we're starting to get into it. Like, it's people, again, kicking the can down the road as long as they can, down the road. And it's like, oh my goodness, we're not going to make it. That's what it is. It's like, and Brother Carlos will tell you, as a pilot, he'll tell you, like, when you're in the plane and that aircraft is going down and you're doing everything you can to keep that thing flying, like, you're going to fly that airplane to the ground. You're going to fly that airplane all the way to the crash site. Trust me. But at some point you realize, like, none of this is working. None of this is working. Right? Prepare, brace for impact. At some point you reach that brace for impact. When I was a paratrooper and I was jumping, I told you guys about the jump. I went on a jump. My parachute was inside out. I went down fast, bro. I jumped like the middle towards the end of the stick. So I was like not the first dude out. I think we were jumping C-130s, right? So I was probably like maybe the 35th, 36th guy. We had 64 guys jumping. I was probably number 35, 36. I hit the ground first. I passed everybody. So at some point it's like, prepare to land. And that's what it was. I'm looking around like, there's no one else around. Oh, the ground's coming up. I got to land. And that's what's going on right now, man. These bankers are looking out here like, the ground is coming up. That wall is here. Brace for impact. And like she said, hopefully we're wrong. Hopefully we're the Chicken Littles of the world. And we're like, oh man, look at this. This is good. This could be a problem. Hopefully we're wrong. It's not a problem. But I don't think so. I don't think we're wrong. The swaps built up the books, but swaps were all made up money. Yep. Fractional reserve banking, it just might be more, it may create more problems than it solves. Yep. And that's where we are right now, guys. That's where we are right now. You know, fractional reserve banking is like communism. It works in theory only. And then you listen, we do all this stuff. And then at the same time, we're deregulating the markets. We're deregulating banks. No one is watching what they're doing. You know what's going to happen when you don't watch people. They show it time and time again. We're just going to let you guys do whatever you want to do. Just keep making money. All right. The wheels are going to come off. Day Moon Music was good, fam. He's like, in Australia, houses are even higher. Wow. Like, because we don't have J Powell daddy. J Powell's doing what J Powell wanted to do what Paul Volcker did, and he just wanted to be known as the guy who was able to stop a potential crash or a potential depression. He did everything he could. But the Fed is a one-trick pony. Quantitative easing. I think you're going to start hearing that again, but they can only lower the rate so far. They can't. I just don't see them dropping down to 5 or 4% or lower. They can't do it. If they do it, inflation goes through the roof, especially now with the tariff wars and everything else. You see how everything kind of ties to everything else and it ties to everything else? Bro, this is it. This is it. America put the one dude in the White House who was like, bet, I don't care. Let's go. Balls to the wall. He don't care. And his people around him don't care. And then everyone else is like, oh, we got to do something. Nothing is going to happen until the election in November. So when the blue wave hits, all the Democrats and moderate Republicans will be sworn in January, and then they'll begin to battle Trump. But the damage is already done. I mean, it's just already done. And I'm just watching the Democrats. The Democrats will figure out a way to screw this up. Y'all see what's going on in Texas? The Democrats always they figure out a way to screw stuff up, man. Brother Simmons in the building, man. 8826. What's happening, man? Good to see you, fam. Thanks for popping in, brother. I see you on Insta, man. I was watching your first meet, man. Your first competition. Tell me you still gonna keep up with that. I don't know how old that was. I was checking out your page, man. Tell me you're gonna keep up with that, man. Always compete, always challenge yourself. Tell me you're gonna keep up with it. Good to see you. But let's continue.
And right now, the FDIC, they're working overtime to make sure that the story doesn't get any traction, that they're calling it a bank wind down, business as usual, and that, of course, all the depositors will be made whole.
This time.
But next time, you might not be so lucky. The truth is that right now, the FDIC insurance fund, the total amount of funds they have available to cover insured depositors should bank failures happen, is less than 1.4% of all total insured deposits. I mean, imagine that, right? If for some reason there are widespread bank failures, how would you feel getting a 1 cent or 1.4 cents back on every single dollar that you had insured?
Man, that's scarier than what I was thinking. I was thinking that, well, they're just going to take a haircut and then they'll, everyone at 250,000 and less will get their money. She's saying, nah, they don't have that. Everyone's going to get a couple pennies on the dollar for whatever they got in the bank. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
Houston, we have a problem.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, that's great. That's just fucking great, man. Now what the fuck are we supposed to do? We're some real pretty shit now, man.
You finished?
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
Listen to what she said, bro. Listen to some scary type people. But I'm a little bit concerned about this, bro. I'm retired, man. I got money in the bank. I got money in the system. I got skin in the game, as they say.
But next time, you might not be so lucky. The truth is that right now, the FDIC insurance fund, the total amount of funds they have available to cover insured depositors should bank failures happen, is less than 1.4% of all total insured deposits.
So if 4 or 5 banks go at the same time, we can only give you $1.40 on your, on your deposits. Got to make it equal. That's some, man, bro. That's enough to break the country. That's enough right there to break the country, guys. Let's listen to that one more again. We got to hear that one more again.
Insurance fund, the total amount of funds they have available to cover insured depositors should bank failures happen, is total insured deposits. I mean, imagine that, right? If for some reason there are widespread bank failures, how would you feel getting a 1 cent or 1.4 cents back on every single
Game over, man. It's game over. What the fuck are we gonna do now?
dollar that you had insured? Wouldn't do you much good. And that's even if you get that back. See, the truth is all it's going to take is a couple of mid-sized banks before that fund is going to be depleted. And then what happens? Now, you might be saying, well, we already know what happens. The Fed is going to step in. They're going to bail us out the same way they always have, which is true up to a point. Now, let's say we go with that scenario 1. Fed steps in, there's bank bailouts, the money printer turns on. Well, in that case, you better hope you have your wealth stored in something that is not fiat currency, that is not dollar denominated assets, because you are going to lose substantial value in your dollars. But it could mean that we roll into option 2, something we've already seen play out in Cyprus and Lebanon, a bank bail-in, where they actually use your deposits to make the institutions, the banks, whole again. We've seen how it works, where your accounts are frozen. You have no access to your funds. Sometimes it could take years before you are even able to get into your account. And that's if you have anything left. They might take everything you have. And during this entire time period, while this is happening, the currency is being devalued all the while, meaning you have less and less purchasing power, watching it dwindle away in live time. And if you think that this can't happen in the United States, it absolutely can. In fact, it is 100% legal right now. It is a playbook written into law in 2010, following the great financial crisis of 2008.
George Gammon was talking about bail-ins 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago. And there were some other people talking about bail-ins. I even did a show about it because I had never heard of it before. And now she's talking about it. I got to tell you, I'm a little more than concerned. But my thing is, I mean, I've been a knucklehead my whole life, man. My thing is like, well, hell, if it happens, it happens. Like if it happens in America, it's gonna get ugly. Ugly. And it, people keep saying, well, that's gonna be it right there, bro. Right there, brother, it's gonna be the Civil War. Like, no, it's not gonna be a Civil War. It's gonna be one hell of an uprising, though. And if I were a 1%er, I'll be getting the hell out of Dodge. Because it's not going to be pitchforks and torches, man. It's going to be AKs and 50 cals. I would be getting up out of Dodge if I had stuff. Or I would be entrenched with the people, trying to help the people out. If a bank bail-in occurs, America won't be the same. America won't be the same. I'm not saying America's going to collapse. I'm not saying that. I'm not going to say it's just going to be, just massive violence everywhere. I'm not saying that either. But what I am saying is, when they had to bail in Cyprus or wherever they were doing that, it's not going to go like that, because in Cyprus, they don't have weapons like Americans have. It's not going to go like that, but it's going to be ugly. And it's going to take politicians to actually break away from the 1% and come up with ways to make people whole and make it right. Let's continue.
At that point in time, they knew that in the future, things would be a lot worse than they were back in 2008. And when that day came, they had to have a plan ready to go. This is a widespread plan, something that has happened from the top, from the BIS, the Bank for International Settlements, the Bankers Bank, the central bank of banks, right? They have documentation outlining a bail-in playbook. This is the next move as things continue to deteriorate. No, it won't be their first choice. People say, well, when things be so bad, yes. But what we've seen again is how quickly that can happen. Everyone thinks they can time it until they can't. How long could you survive without access to your accounts? Could you survive a month, 2 years? That's why it is so important to make sure that you are protected outside of their system, outside of the fiat currency, outside of the bank's control. For me.
And this is the pitch for gold. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. I can't, at least it's something. Like you see it, it's worth something. People say, oh man, just go into crypto and all that, man. You can't hold Bitcoin. That's all run by the blockchain or whatever. And I'm not crazy about that, because how long before AI breaks the blockchain? Cracks it. Has AI already cracked the blockchain? So definitely talk to your financial planner. Talk to somebody who knows something about something. You're gonna want to get some assets, land. Gonna need that. Housing and all that. Gonna need that. Having gold or silver that you carry around, and you're probably gonna need that.
Have a strategy that involves physical gold and silver for what is coming next. You can call us at the number below. You can scan the QR code. We at ITM Trading, we are a full service physical gold and silver dealer. But not only that, we specialize in helping people just like you create a custom strategy for what is coming next. And if you want to learn more about gold and silver, we have the amazing gold and silver guide that has a ton of great information you can download.
And you're right, brother. Like, land prices are about to tank. Hold cash. The problem with holding cash, it's not backed by anything. It is truly fiat currency. So if you hold cash and the value of that currency collapses overnight, what do? You need to put your money in something of value. And if you're going to hold cash, you're going to hold currency, which I would say get US dollars, at least in the short term, because the value of dollars will go up because everyone does business in dollars, but then people are going to start dumping the dollar. So, and again, I'm not giving any kind of financial advice, but I'm just trying to figure it out like everybody else. If I was to hold any one currency, I would hold US dollars for the short term while dollars are going up in value. Then I would be taking that money, that added value, and putting it in something that has true value. That's what I would be doing, whatever that may be. You want to get gold, you want to get silver, you want to get properties, whatever that would be. You can find something that's worth something, and then take your dollars and then put it and buy that thing, and then kind of wait the storm out. But be careful with cash, brother. Yeah, brass. Yeah, brother Carlos has a really good point. Yeah, man. Yeah. Bro, that has value. That has value, man. Kiyosaki was talking about that 2 or 3 years ago on Fresh and Fit. He was saying he was actually investing in that, and he was just stockpiling because he's like, this is going to have value, and he might be right. He might be right. You know what I mean? Backed by taxes, so we need that populist government. Yeah, this is a government breaker. If this happens, and of course, everyone's going to look at the worst case scenario, but if this happens, that government is going to change. It's going to change. Again, here in the U.S., I'm not saying that the U.S. is going to go away, but there will be some major changes in the way we do business, because you're taking money to bail out banks when you should just let the banks fail, because they did this. They put themselves in a situation. If you believe in capitalism, if you're a true capitalist, then those banks that fail, they got to fail. But everyone is tied into this Ponzi scheme. So once the cards fall down, okay, all the cards are falling. Now it's time to rebuild. On the other side of this, the government is not going to look the same. They're not. I said this during the great financial meltdown with the housing market, right? The great housing crisis or whatever it was, the GFC. I was at work, we were talking about it. I'm like, man, you gotta let these banks fail. Like, you can't do that. If you do that, you gotta bail them out. Now let them banks fail. We should not have too big to fail. That shouldn't be a thing. Let them all fail. Because trust me, there's some bankers out there, there's some businessmen out there who saw this coming and they're like, we're still not going to do that. We're not going to risk our corporation. Right now, I'm reading the book that Sorkin wrote, Andrew Ross Sorkin, his first book that I was aware of, Too Big to Fail. I'm reading that right now. And, these bankers, these guys, these business guys and girls, they knew what they were doing. They knew that they were betting everybody's house on this stuff. They knew it, but they were making so much money, with this predatory lending and stuff like that, with the ninja loans and all. They were making so much money. They got greedy. They lost sight of everything. And they lost everything. Lehman Brothers should not have been the only institution that went under. I would have let them all go under. They just would have been replaced by the people below them coming up who did business the right way. That's what I hope happens this time. I hope it happens, but you got a president who's tied into the 1%. He's not going to just let that happen. He's going to fight to keep the old system in place. So, man, it's going to be crazy, man. Yeah, you're right. Hey, man, the value of the dollar with guns in this country, like, they don't pay your taxes, we'll take your house. But here's the thing. If the whole system collapses, no one's even worried about taxes at that point. If the US dollar has no value, the only thing that holds the dollar up is people have trust and faith in the US dollar. It's not backed by anything. Nixon took us off the gold standard. That was it. The dollar is just a piece of paper. Once the rest of the world decides that the US dollar is worthless and they're going to get out of it, you're going to see a spike in the dollar, and then the dollar is going to collapse and fall off because no one's going to use it anymore. It's going to switch to another currency. And no, it's not going to be Brinks or whatever that was. What was that? Was it Brazil, Russia, India, South Africa, and China? It's not going to be that. Right? But it might be, I don't know. It won't be the ruble. It might be the Deutschmark. It won't be the yen. It won't be the Chinese yen. It won't be the Japanese, the Chinese or Japanese currency. I don't know. I don't know where currency they're going to go to. Would it be the pound? I don't know. All right, but it'll definitely change. We got Scam Likely in the building. What's happening, fam? Maybe the euro, but I think the Deutschmark is stronger than the euro, right? I don't know. I don't know currencies. That's something we got to do. Homework for everybody. Everybody, let's do some stuff. Here's the homework assignment. Here's the thought experiment. If the dollar collapses, what currency would replace the dollar? What country? And what currency? Will it come out of the Middle East? Will it come out of Europe? Will it come out of North America, like Canada? You know what I mean? Will it come out of Asia? Like where will it come? I wonder. Nah, I don't think so, man, because South Africa is worse off. And here's the thing. Everyone's tied to the dollar. So once America falls, everyone falls hard, then it becomes who recovers first. And I would imagine America will be in the race to recover first. I think, again, Germany might not fall as hard as everyone else, so they recover first, and everyone's on the mark. If the mark is tied to something, the Deutschmark, or America recovers, but changes the government and changes the currency and ties it to something. It's like, okay, the new and improved US dollar is going to be tied to gold, silver, or maybe even Bitcoin. I don't like Bitcoin, but they're going to tie it to something that people have faith in. So that's our homework assignment, man. Let's do that. That's the thought experiment. We'll be back tomorrow. I'm gonna come back tomorrow. We're gonna talk red pill stuff. But before we get into red pill talk, we'll ask like, hey, what currency would take over if if the US dollar were to completely fall and the entire world divested in the dollar? Like, we're not messing with America and their dollar anymore. It was a Ponzi scheme. They went crazy. We don't trust them. We're done with the dollar. If that happens, again, remember, it's going to be a spike in the dollar because they got to settle all that debt in dollars. So it'll be people will be going out trying to get dollars so they can settle their debt, turn their debt over into something else. What would that be? You know, the sister here with ITM trading, they want it to be gold. Would it be gold? Then, okay, which country will be the first country to tie their currency to gold? And then that country would, that currency would be the world currency moving forward. Of course, you got to do a lot of political stuff. And here's the thing, here's the ace in the hole. Like, America still has the most powerful military the world has ever seen. So push come to shove, we just go take what we want, right? Right? So you think so, Brother Pitton? You think so? The RMB, I don't know, because the Chinese Communist Party controls that and no one trusts the commies. No one trusts commies. So maybe the euro will be a close second. I don't know. I really don't know. This is something I'm going to do my own research as well. Let's table the conversation until the next time we see each other, and then let's have that talk. I might even jump on early tomorrow, like earlier than normal, just so we can have this talk. Like, what would happen if the US dollar completely collapsed? Look for the thumbnail. I'm gonna make a thumbnail. We'll talk about it tomorrow. If the US dollar completely collapses, what currency would take over? Guys, if you're watching this on Team Replay, leave your answers in the comments below. I'm just curious. I wonder. I really wonder. Like, the state of Texas is building a gold depository building for people to hold their gold for currency. Hey, listen, if you do buy gold, right? If you do buy it, make sure that you have your own gold. Make sure you have it. You have it. Get you a safe, right? Find a safe place to keep it. Wherever you got to do, make sure you have your gold. Do not invest in these. And again, I'm not giving advice, but I'm telling you, don't give somebody money and they say, okay, they give you a piece of paper saying you got X amount of dollars or X amount of worth in gold. Don't give them money and they say, okay, you got 8 gold bars in our depository. Don't trust them. Don't trust them. Because when everything goes crazy, man, when it goes upside down, when the defecation hits the oscillator, they're going to take your gold and you're going to have to find them, bro. You're going to have to find them. So if you are going out there buying precious metals, gold, silver, or whatever it is, make sure you physically have it. At least have most of it. Hell, some of it. Because when it goes tits up, bro, what's going to stop them from taking your gold? What's going to stop them from taking your silver? So keep that in mind when you're out there. I think you should diversify yourself as much as you can, people. Do what you can to hedge this bet. And here's the thing, make no mistake about it. The 1%ers, the business class, man, they all got us gambling right now, man. We all tied in on this, bro. We are all gambling right now. Hedge your bets. They're hedging theirs. Hedge your bets. Most of us didn't even put these bets down. You look at all this money that was borrowed, where did it come from, man? It came from retirement funds and stuff like that, came from hedge funds, right? That's what these big, institutional entities were getting their money from, not just the banks. We're talking about the banks, but there's other institutions out here that's, over leveraged as well, man. It's crazy. It's crazy, man. He said he won't be the one speaking on in the public. It's deeper convo. Scam Scam is doing his thing, man. Scam is doing his thing. You want to ask somebody about the real estate market and what's going on in Florida, talk to Scam Likely. He's not a broker, but he knows a little bit about that. You know what I'm saying? Do not buy paper gold, 100%. Let's get back to the video.
Download your free copy by scanning the QR code on the screen. And in the meantime, if this video is helpful, please share it with a loved one. Let them know what's going on. And as always, thank you so much for being here.
I want to go back one more time what she was saying about the buy-ins and stuff like that. I want to go back. I want to hear that one more again, guys. One more again.
All the depositors will be made whole. But next time, you might not be so lucky. The truth is that right now, the FDIC insurance fund, the total amount of funds they have available to cover insured depositors should bank failures happen, is less than 1.4% of all total insured deposits.
Damn.
I mean, imagine that, right? If for some reason there are widespread bank failures, how would you feel getting a 1 cent or 1.4 cents back on every single dollar that you had insured? Wouldn't do you much good. And that's even if you get that back. See, the truth is that all it's going to take is a couple of mid-sized banks before that fund is going to be depleted. And then what happens? Now, you might be saying, well, we already know what happens. The Fed is going to step in. They're going to bail us out the same way they always have, which is true up to a point. Now, let's say we go with that scenario 1. Fed steps in, there's bank bailouts, the money printer turns on. Well, in that case, you better hope you have your wealth stored in something that is not fiat currency, that is not dollar-denominated assets, because you are going to lose substantial value in your dollars. But it could mean that we roll into option 2, something we've already seen play out in Cyprus and Lebanon, a bank bail-in, where they actually use your deposits to make the institutions, the banks, whole again. We've seen how it works, where your accounts are frozen. You have no access to your funds. Sometimes it could take years before you are even able to get into your account. And that's if you have anything left. They might take everything you have. And during this entire time period, while this is happening, the currency is being devalued all the while, meaning you have less and less purchasing power, watching it dwindle away in live time. And if you think that this can't happen in the United States, it absolutely can. In fact, it is 100% legal right now. It is a playbook written into law in 2010, following the great financial crisis of 2008. At that point in time, they knew that in the future, things would be a lot worse than they were back in 2008. And when that day came, they had to have a plan ready to go. This is a widespread plan, something that has happened from the top, from the BIS, the Bank for International Settlements, the Bankers Bank, the central bank of banks, right? They have documentation outlining a bail-in playbook. This is the next move as things continue to deteriorate. No, it won't be their first choice. People say, well, when things be so bad, yes. But what we've seen again is how quickly that can happen. Everyone thinks they can time it until they can't. How long could you survive without access to your accounts? Could you survive a month, 2 years? That's why it is so important to make sure that you are protected outside of their system, outside of the fiat.
And then she went into the pitch for gold, which I agree with, man. Shout out to ITM, guys. Make sure y'all checking them out. They're dropping knowledge. They're dropping knowledge. Damn. This could happen. Not saying it's gonna happen. I'm not gonna sit here and look into the crystal ball and make some prediction. All I'm saying is 1 month into 2026, we had a bank failure. The way they got through January, they managed to get right up to the end of January, then they announced it. They knew that bank was failing. They knew it. The central bankers knew it. Right? The people at the FDIC knew it. The people working for the bank knew it. The 1%ers knew it. I go back and watch Margin Call. Watch that movie. If you guys never watched Margin Call, watch Margin Call. Watch it. At some point within the banks, they know this is it. Like I said, it's a brace for impact moment. They know it, and they do everything they can to avoid it or soften the blow. Like, look, we can drag everybody else down, or let's get our money and just pawn off all our bad debt on everybody else. They'll do it. Right? They'll do it. think about it, man. If let's say that, and this is me speculating here, guys. This is not a thing. I'm just imagine if a bank the size of Fifth Third or PNC or Union Bank, let's say those three, were to announce tomorrow that basically they're insolvent. And they close those three banks down. And then 2 days or 3 days after that, you hear that regulators are looking at Citibank or Citigroup. That's all it would take. Those four banks, those four institutions. That's all it would take. There will be a massive run on banks. The market would crater. It would absolutely crater. The rest of the world would be looking at this like, all right, we definitely got to get out of dollars now. Like she said, it only takes a few banks for this thing to go crazy. It only takes a few. And, people ask me like, man, what are you going to do? Why? Like, I'm not wealthy like that. Right? I'm not wealthy like that. So I'm along for the ride. I'm doing all right. People just take a haircut. You lose 75% of your wealth. For the ride, I'm doing all right. You lose 75% of your wealth. Can you survive that? Yeah, we lost 75%. So at the end of the day, everyone is still where they are. You know what I mean? It's just everybody lost all his money. Like, there'll be some 1%ers who aren't in the 1% anymore. You know what I mean? There'll be some millionaires who are no longer millionaires. They're down there 100,000aires and so on and so on and so on. You look at someone like Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk or, those boys like Zuckerberg. All right, they lost 75% of their wealth. It's all paper money anyway at that point. Right? So, man, I just don't know what to say. Fellas, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. There we go. Brother Carlos, man, you got a wrench behind your name now. Brother Carlos has a wrench. You're definitely a day one. Appreciate you. Man, I don't know, guys. I don't know. You definitely want to invest your money in something that's real. The fiat currency is never, ever, ever going to go the distance. It is what it is. It's never going to go the distance. Try to figure out a way to, well, here's another thing too. Here's the thing. When the Great Depression hit, the people who were at the bottom, man, they got hit the worst. That's the people who are in the bread lines, the people who are out with the signs looking for food, will work for food. You have people out there with brand new cars, saying they'll sell that. Man, imagine someone with a brand new Lamborghini and a sign on it, and man, I'll sell this Lamborghini for, best offer, $10,000 or whatever, $50,000 for this Lamborghini, $400,000 car. I'll take 10 grand right now because they got to feed their family. It'll be rough, right? It'll be rough, but Americans are resilient. Americans will get through it. Americans will get through it. No, thank you, brother. I appreciate it. We're going to talk about some air traffic control stuff here soon, too. I've been looking at what's going on. We're going to talk about some ATC stuff. It's funny because people are like, man, what's your air traffic controller? Like, yeah, how come you don't talk air traffic? I don't know. I don't know. I can. And if it's a story that breaks, and it's a story, of course, we're going to talk about it. I'll give you an inside scoop. But just to follow it, it would have to be a separate channel to follow ATC every day. Would just be a separate channel. And I don't have the bandwidth for that right now. So, there we go. I froze there for a second. I'm going to end it there, guys. I'm sitting here. I'm just sitting here. I'm thinking about my daughter. I'm thinking about her future, thinking about my future. man, fellas, ladies, because we got ninja watchers out there. We have ladies who watches. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know, man. If this goes down, it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. Fortunately, I have a family and we're resourceful and a lot of us are successful. And it's just a matter of us coming together as a family and figuring out how we're going to, take care of one another and what we're going to do. I have very close friends that I consider my family. Same thing. If something like that were to happen, security is the top of my mind. Like, how are you going to be safe? Because people aren't going to just sit there and starve. They're not going to just sit there and starve. They're going to do what they got to do. They're going to go get that bread, man. They're going to go get it. Whatever they got to do to go get it. And then people will still be working. There'll still be money moving around. But again, the dollar. Like they were talking about that buy-in, the bail-in. I remember I think it was India. This might have been a handful of years ago in India. One day people woke up and the government in India decided they're going to a new currency. Like it's the same currency, but they had different, physical bills. And what they did was they told people, bring in the old bills and we'll exchange them for the new bills. But when they did that, the value exchange wasn't equal. So imagine you go in with $50,000 and then they give you $25,000 worth of the new currency. Like that's all they just cut it like that. What are you going to do? And they told you, if you still have the old bills after this certain date, they're all worthless. So basically, you're going to take what we tell you you can have. We're going to tell you how much you're worth. Or you had $100,000, you're worth $75,000 now. You're worth $25,000 now. The government told them how much their new currency was worth. So bring in the old bills. We give you the new bills, but this is how much the new bill is worth. This is how they handled their problem. They had a similar situation. Bro, I'm here to tell you that could absolutely happen in America. The only difference would be a massive uprising, maybe. I mean, America's improving it. They'll sit down and take pretty much anything, but something like this, I could see a massive uprising. What happened during the Great Depression? What were the criminals doing? Right? What was Bonnie and Clyde and them doing? What were the Baker boys doing? What was, what I'm saying? What were they doing? What was John Dillinger doing? You're going to see something like that in America. People are going to like, yo, we got to get this bread no matter what. We got to get this bread. And it's going to be some people who go out there and it's like, hey, bonsai. Right? They're going to go full kamikaze with it. Like, hey, bonsai, I got to get it because I got to feed my family. And they just changed the game and they took what little bread I had and they gave me back some rocks. So I'm going to go ahead and turn these rocks into some gold or some silver. About to be Robin Hood out here. Robbing from the rich and giving to me. That's what they're going to be saying. Like, you're supposed to rob from the rich, get to the poor. Well, I am poor. That's what they're going to be doing in America. That's what I think is going to happen. Brother Carlos said that happened in Mexico. It was like 10 years old when he was 10. Wow, that happened in Mexico. Wow. When they make a new currency, a new bill, tell you to bring in the old bills, and then they tell you how much this is how much you're getting of the new bills. And if you don't bring it in by this cutoff date, all them bills you got is worthless. Could you imagine if that happened, guys? How many people in America is just going to sit there and take it? A lot will, but it's a lot that won't. Hey, bro, we're going to lose anyway. The slums become way worse. Oh, man, I hope we're wrong. I hope we don't have another banking crisis, but I don't see how we can avoid it. All that bad paper is out there. And thanks to Brother Pitney, man, we know exactly how much bad paper is out there according to these people. I'm trying to find it now. Right? That number right there, man, 50 to 60% of U.S. commercial real estate loans are projected to mature over the next 10 years. And I saw this stat a few years ago. So it's not like that's, I'm pretty sure we're already, so it's like less than 10 years, but you have all of these commercial real estate, all the big paper, bro. They're coming in. They need to turn those loans over. Remember, they got, $200 million at 3% or wherever it was. And now you got to come in there like the best you're going to get is 6%. We got to double your interest rate. They can't afford it. They can't afford it. And they can't credit default swap themselves out of this, which is what they were doing with the paperclip and the marker and all that. They're not going to be able to do it. And there's nothing we can do on this end. I mean, if you're a 1%er, you know what's coming. You get your valuables, you get your valuable stuff, you get your security, you get on your plane and you get to a country where you can defend yourself. Right? You go somewhere where you can defend yourself with your own little private little army. If you stay in America, your private army ain't going to be big enough. But again, I think at the end of the day, I'm going to think on this some more, but at the end of the day, America still has the most powerful military the world has ever known, our species has ever known. Push comes to shove, whoever wounds up with the world currency, the dominant currency, they're gonna have to partner up with America because you need somebody to protect you. So if anything, we're just gonna extort, whoever, the euro or the Chinese currency that Brother Penny was talking about, the RMB or the euro or whoever has that currency that's going to be the new world currency, they're going to have to sit down and talk to America like, well, y'all going to need our protection. Otherwise, somebody's going to come take our country and take our currency. You know what I mean? America will have the power to keep currency unstable, destabilized if we want to, just by sheer force. So anyway, remember the homework assignment, guys. If the US dollar were to collapse, what country will become the dominant currency and will be the world currency? We got China in there. We got the euro. A lot of people seem to think it's the euro. What country? Let us know. I'm gonna be back tomorrow early to talk about that. We'll do at least 2 shows tomorrow. I'll do an early show when we're gonna talk about currency. We'll do a later show when we just talk about some red pill stuff, so I can get my mind off of this and just talk about something silly or stupid. We're going to talk about, why is it that the Chaz and the Tyrones, like the top tier guys and the high value men have no problem getting women to agree to go on coffee dates with them, but the bottom 80 can't seem to catch a break. Women start tripping when they talk about coffee dates. We're going to talk about that tomorrow late. We might even have to make it a lit Saints show because I'm going to need to drink. I'm going to need to drink behind this news. A bank failed in America and it didn't even make it into mainstream media. No one talked about it. Only YouTubers are talking about it. The only article I can find came from Yahoo Finance. Wall Street Journal wasn't talking about it. That's crazy. New York Times wasn't talking about it. The Post wasn't talking about it. LA Times wasn't talking about it. That's crazy, man. That has to be a plan. They have to be working. They're in cahoots, as my auntie used to say. They in cahoots. Brother Petty, I foresee administrative chaos more than chaos in the streets in the event of a CRE bubble burst. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I don't want to see the chaos. And it depends on what the administrative fix is. They got to come up with a real fix. Trust and believe, as ate up as the Trump administration is right now, there's people in this administration that understand that this is a problem. And they're working on a fix. And they're gonna have to work with other people. And like I said, come November, if the banks don't collapse by November, we'll have this election. There's gonna be a change. There's gonna be a counterbalance to what's going on with the Trump administration. And this will probably be one of the first things they take up, man. They're gonna have to. I don't think we're gonna make it to November, man. The banks go down. I think the banks are gonna go down soon. I think the banks, if it happens, I think it's gonna happen soon. The first couple banks will get in trouble, and then those are the first few dominoes, and then the rest of the dominoes will fall. And by summer or the end of summer, it'll be a full blown crisis. And again, that's only going to accelerate the blue wave. Is going to just put the blue wave on steroids. And it's just, that's going to be the catalyst that the Republicans are going to turn their weapons on Trump. They're going to come after the administration hard. If that were to happen, the banks start going down, Republicans at this point, the Republicans are just jump ship completely. A lot of Republicans are like, okay, I'm independent. I'm going to caucus with whoever I got to caucus with to help fix this problem. But I hope you're right, Brother Penny. I really do. I hope it's just administrative chaos. I hope that's all it is, and it doesn't spill out into the streets. I hope they figure out a way to stabilize it, and they make it to where the haircut makes sense. And the haircut the 1% is going to have to take the brunt of it. And then everyone else is going to have to, take their piece of the giant shit sandwich that's sitting out here right now. Because it's out here, y'all. And we're just going to have to continue working and continue doing what we're doing and just trying to make it. So, yeah, that's it right there. That's it right there, man. Man Cave 6849 in the building. What's happening, fam? They'll blame it on Trump. Yeah, well, the blame is gonna, whatever administration is sitting there when it happens, catches the blame. Catches. I mean, like I said, this started well before Trump, but he's been in office twice. His terms were split. But I mean, this thing could go all the way back to George H.W. Bush. Right? Herbert Walker Bush will have a little say in this. You know what I mean? It's going to go back because this banking deregulation thing has been going on for a long time. And if you're if you happen to be in command when it goes down, it could be day one. You just walk in the office day one, and then something happens. You catch the blame for it. Like, I just got here. Like, I don't even know what's going on. I just got here. Well, you're in command. What are your orders? So anyway, that's it. That's all we got for today. I appreciate y'all. And you'll notice pinned to the top of the chat, man. That's the Gumroad thing. Do me a favor, check it out. Let me know what you think about the Gumroad. Do I still have it here? Yep, I still have it. There it is right there, man. Check out the Gumroad. I made some changes over there. I cleaned it up a little bit. We got the red pill stuff over there. So we got the red pill books, about 16 of those. If I got How to Be a Stand-Up Comic. You guys know I'm in comedy. I've had a lot of comics walk up to me who's asking me questions. So I decided to do a series. So I knocked that out first. We have a 5-book series on fashion and the importance of dressing well and how that can help you in the workplace or out here networking. And we have a 5-book series on networking 101. Check them out. If you have a wrench behind your name, that means you are one of my day ones. If you're a day one, email me or hit me up on Instagram. DM me on Instagram or email me. You got a wrench behind your name and you just want to see one of these books, you just want whatever, shoot me your email. Hit me up on Instagram, send me your email, and I will send you whatever you want to read. Any of the products, I'll send them to you. Day one, because I appreciate y'all always supporting me. Hit me up. And then if you do buy a book, first of all, thank you. Because, times is really tough. It's about to get real hard. So if you do buy a book, I really appreciate that. And I will welcome any criticism whatsoever. Let me know what you think. Be honest with me so I can only get better. This is brand new to me. I've never done this thing. I'm a retired air traffic controller. I do a lot of networking. I do comedy. I do a bunch of other stuff, but I've never done digital products. First time I've ever tried this. And I'm working on companion videos for all the ebooks I put out there. So I got a lot of work cut out for myself. I'm like, we're about to get into this. We're about to get into this good. So if you do check it out, man, do me a favor. Let me know. You can't hurt my feelings. It's not possible. It is what it is. I need to know in order to get better. So, and if there's anything you want, any topic you want me to cover, just tell me and I will definitely do something. I won't promise a whole series, but if it's a topic out there, I'll throw it together, and put it out there for you. And of course, coaching. If you guys are, if you wanted some coaching, if you want, my opinion on, how to, again, anything that I know and you want my coaching on it, hit me up. We can work something out. If you're a day one, trust me, I'm going to work with you. But for everyone else, it's basically $25 for 15 minutes. It's $100 an hour, but we just break it down. 25, for 15 minutes, like $25. And yeah, We'll sit down, we'll talk, and trust me, guys, I do everything I can to make sure that you get the information that you need. And if it's something that I don't really know that much about, trust me, I know everybody who does something in somewhere and they know people. I'll get you your answer, whatever that may be. Not a finance guy, but I know a lot of finance people. Not a fitness guy, but I know a lot of fitness people. So, you get my point there. I'm a networker. I do some political stuff. So I know my way around some campaigns and stuff like that. And I can definitely show you how to network in that world. If you want to get, an air traffic controller, if you want to be an air traffic controller, they're hiring. I can show you how to get there. I can show you how to just apply for any government job. And if you're thinking about the military, I can tell you about that airborne life. I can tell you about my experience in the military and what I think might work for you moving forward in today's military. So that's it. That's the spiel. That's the speech. Appreciate y'all checking me out. Remember the homework assignment, man. What currency would take over if the U.S. dollar fails? I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say about that. And that's it. That's all we got for today, guys. Appreciate you. I will be back tomorrow. You guys know what time it is. We're doing 2 shows tomorrow. We're gonna do our follow-up on what currency is gonna take over, and then later on tomorrow evening we're gonna do a Lit Saint episode when we get into why women don't have a problem going on coffee dates with some men, but they refuse to do it with others. It's going to be a good talk. Y'all know what time it is. I'm DL Saint. This is I Really Want to Know podcast. I'm going to holler at y'all later. Peace.
Nothing like I've ever seen. It's just a thing of beauty.
Darn, that's the end.
Thanks for watching. Really appreciate your support. And if you like that video, check out this one or maybe that one. We'll see you around. Peace.